Well, of course, with that, we hit the first top story here on Times Now. Political rivalry and political killings in Kerala are not a new phenomenon. The rivalry between RSS and the CPM has been bloody for many years and decades. However, today, Chief Minister CM Vijayan has accused the SDPI and the RSS of vitiating the atmosphere in the state and blaming them for the violence. Chief Minister had stood up on the floor of the assembly and accused the RSS and SDPI leadership of sowing seeds of communalism in the state. He went on to draw a parallel with what's happening across another state, saying that this has to be stopped in his state of Kerala. Listen in to what the Chief Minister said.
ഈ ശക്തികൾക്കൊന്നും തകർക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്നതല്ല കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ ക്രമസമാധാന നില. ഈ രണ്ട് വർഗീയ ശക്തികളും അതിന് നേതൃത്വം കൊടുക്കുന്ന RSS ആയാലും SDPI ആയാലും ആ രണ്ട് കൂട്ടരും നമ്മുടെ നാടിൻ്റെ പൊതുവായ സമാധാനം തകർക്കാനാണ് ശ്രമിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ആ രണ്ടിനെയും ഒന്നിച്ചു കൂട്ടാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ചില ഘട്ടങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നത് ഞാൻ മറക്കുന്നില്ല. നമ്മുടെ നാടിൻ്റെ ഇന്നത്തെ അവസ്ഥ ഗുണകരമല്ല. ഇവിടെ മറ്റ് സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിൽ സംഭവിക്കുന്ന കാര്യം നിങ്ങൾ തിരിച്ചറിയണം. അന്ധമായ CPIM വിരോധം വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ആ CPIM വിരോധത്തിൻ്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനം LDF സർക്കാർ നിലനിൽക്കുന്നുവെന്നതാണ്. LDF സർക്കാരിന് വലിയ തോതിലുള്ള ജനപിന്തുണ ലഭ്യമാകുന്നുവെന്നതാണ്. അത് ഇല്ലാതാക്കാൻ
Well, the Kerala Chief Minister's comments came just a day after the state's High Court had acquitted 13 RSS activists accused of murder of a CPM youth wing leader way back in 2008. Now, the court had wrapped the prosecution then for trying to tutor witnesses. Remember, these are words that the High Court had used, that the state prosecution had tutored witnesses and had formed a script story to frame the RSS workers. The court then observed that there was absolutely no evidence worth its salt and the prosecution had failed to prove any corroborative circumstance. RSS is now slamming the left, meanwhile, for framing its men and making its families suffer for 14 years.
You know, the most of the Marxist leaders who have been killed are due to the fractional fight between the CPI, CPM on the one hand and within the party of CPM. To hide the shame of the factionalism and violence erupting inside the party, they accuse the RSS. This judgment of Kerala High Court exposes the real character of the Communist Party of India, Marxist in Kerala. Now it's the moral duty of Sitaram Yechuri to apologize before the nation the suffering of 13 RSS workers and their families for decades.
Yesterday, the Honorable High Court of Kerala has once again vindicated what the Sangha has been telling for so many decades. You know, in Kerala, the Marxist party using its red police, I would like to call the Kerala police as red police, highly politicized the police force in the whole country, that is Kerala police. That red police, it is prosecuting the innocent using cooked up evidence while protecting the party's murders, goons and smugglers. This is the case which is going on and we are complaining this aspect for several decades.
However, the left continues to be in denial. They say that we are going to approach the Supreme Court, we are going to appeal against these acquittals. Well, we'll just get you that soundbite. But till then, let me go across to our panelists. Joining us today on the show, Vinay Singh, a political analyst. There's Sebastian Paul joining us, the former MP of CPIM. Mr. Paul, I'm going to come to you first. Yesterday, the High Court itself had said there is a very meager, if not a false case, which was put forth against 13 RSS workers by the left government, and today you have the Chief Minister coming out and saying that SDPI, which has of course links to Radical Front, NIA designated radical organization of PFI, now being equated to the RSS. Why is the left going after the RSS? Is it part of a larger witch hunt, as the RSS claims it is?
Well, it is not a witch hunt. The CPM has got a definite stand vis-a-vis RSS. That stand is mainly political, and there is no compromise. There is no chance of any compromise between the two, the CPM and the RSS. It is true that yesterday the Kerala High Court acquitted several RSS activists in an old murder case. There is nothing new about it. The court said the prosecution failed to convince the court about the murder. The prosecution...
Sorry, Mr. Paul, you're of course a very learned man. However, that's not exactly what the court had said. The court said, I'm going to quote it here, manner in which events were portrayed smacks of deliberate attempt to tutor the witnesses, deliberate attempt to collect evidence to define a scripted story. It didn't say it's failed to convince the court. It said that the prosecution had actually scripted this entire tale and the charges against RSS and had even tutored witnesses. Very serious charges against the state, mind you.
Well, there is more serious comments in such situations, not only in Kerala but in other states also. The police will be accused of several things, several illegal things, when cases decided by the appellate court. Now the government may go to the Supreme Court with an appeal. I don't know what the government will do now, but that means, or that does not mean that the High Court has given a clean chit to RSS in Kerala.
You may appeal after appeal. However, there is a narrative, and in fact, Mr. Singh, I'm going to bring you here. There is a narrative which is being scripted by the RSS that, look, in this state, we are literally being hunted down, and this is a political witch hunt by the RSS. Is it even fair to compare the RSS to the SDPI, Mr. Singh?
Well, they are free to say so. That it is their opinion, but we cannot.
It's your opinion, but however, when your opinion is the opinion of the state government, and the state can use whatever is available to it in the form of law and order machinery, and that may be used, that's a very serious allegation, Mr. Singh.
The Kerala government...
We'll just come back to you, Mr. Paul.
The Kerala government must do a thing first. They must make an apology, unconditional apology for witch hunting. And see, this is not the first case where the RSS cadres have been witch hunted. There are several cases, thousands of cases where the RSS cadres have been killed. They have been butchered, they have been murdered. And again, this is not the first time that the RSS is being blamed or it is being questioned by the left liberals. Several times in the past, and every time the RSS has been questioned, every time they have come clean, like they came again. And there is a history, you know, about the alliance of left with the radical outfits in Kerala. There is a history of that, sir. You must remember that previously there was just a single political party, Muslim political party in India, that was Muslim League. So there was a tug of war between UDF and LDF, between Congress and between left, that to take that exclusive Muslim political party into their fold. But now what the situation is, there are so many exclusive Muslim parties. AIMM is there, SDPI is there, Jamaat Islami is there. So now there is not that scarcity. There is not a single exclusive Muslim party. So there is a history of, you know, LDF, the left front, of...
How did that change with the advent of the BJP and the RSS in the political scenario of the southern states, specifically Kerala?
Even in the last time when Rahul Gandhi went to contest, you know, Wayanad.
Yes.
So Rahul Gandhi was just not a candidate of Congress. He was a joint candidate of SDPI,
IUML,
PFI,
well as
WPI, Welfare Party of India, Jamaat Islami Hind. And there were other, you know, radical outfits, those who were supporting CPM.
Right.
CPM.
A quick word, Mr. Paul. Will you apologize for what is being called a witch hunt of the RSS because you are scared of the advent of the right in your state?
No, how can we say that it is a political witch hunt? There are several occasions in which members belonging to several parties will become accused and they'll be prosecuted, and court may...
Actually, we are not calling it a political witch hunt. It is something that the Kerala High Court has said, and we are contrasting that to what the Chief Minister himself has said. However, thank you so much, Mr. Paul, for joining us here on the show, as well as Mr. Singh. With that, we are going to be stepping into a short break.